are following the rule today of ladies first. Lisa O'Connor leads the Security Research and Development for Accenture Technology Labs. Lisa will speak about trust with a twist, a digital one. In a world where intelligence machine and humans work side by side, how do we build digital trust? And more to the point, how can we ensure we're worthy of it? Accenture is one of the newest members of Team8 Cyber Syndicate, and we are honored to have Lisa here with us on the stage. Lisa.
All right, thank you. Well, I'm very excited to be here today. And we have a lot to talk about. We have something to talk about that's so fundamental, so human, that it really transcends geographies, industries, and cultures. And that's trust. So before we begin, we're going to have a little experiment, and you guys are going to participate in it. So if you don't have your smartphone in your hand already, please take it out. And that's a quiz, because most of you have it in your hands already. Now I want you to unlock your phone. Go ahead, punch your little code in there. We'll give you time, because I know you probably have very long security codes. All right, now I want you to hand your phone to the person to your left. And if you are the leftmost person, you're not out. You need to hand it to the person behind you. I see phones moving? All right. Now, I want you to continue to sit still and focus on my words. And for many of you, this is very hard, because you've just handed this wonderful, rich digital fingerprint to a complete stranger, or worse, maybe a colleague. So just sit with that feeling for a moment. What could they learn by looking at your personal smartphone? Would they learn about what the Fitbit showed and how much you have not been getting exercise, even though you're probably telling them? Would they look at your last few texts and see that you're dutifully responding to your spouse? Or would they look that you're browsing all over, looking up the leaders of Cyber Week? Or maybe you're looking for a job. They could learn a lot. And if we put this in context with geography, your geolocation, and your contacts, now that person has a really rich digital picture of who you communicate with, and maybe even better than your executive assistant has. So let's really feel that for a while. You guys still uncomfortable? Good. The good news is most of the people in this room are upstanding citizens and largely ethical in their behavior. So when we think about it, not a lot to worry about here, but what if you handed your phone to someone who is less scrupulous? And what if you handed your phone to someone who may be of a different moral or ethical persuasion than you are and have a different standard? And let's take it even further. What if you handed your phone off and your data off to an intelligent machine? How would that make you feel? What governs the ethical decisions that intelligent machine would make about your data and your information? All right, so enough of the angst. You can get your phones back. Please give the people back their phones. And you can lock them up again, so no harm done. So what I've just, no harm, it's good. So what I've just asked you to do is what we ask our customers and our citizens to do. So we create this very rich digital picture of their behaviors, their choices, and their experiences. And we ask them to trust us with that behavior and those insights. So what happens if we don't do this right? We're going to explore that. So Accenture Technology Labs spends a year doing a research project, which is the Accenture Technology Vision. And the interesting thing about the vision is we talk to people about what motivates them, what are the important things that they're concerned about. And we look for trends in the industry that are disruptive. And those trends are the things that businesses need to think about to challenge themselves in their thinking, and we use that to challenge our thinking. And also to plan. So how are we planning, and that call to action to be ready for a future? So when we did the 2015 technology vision, nobody talked about ethics. Everybody talked about other things that were important to them as customers in the digital business. And this year, when we did the 2016 vision, over 30% of the people proactively brought up ethics as a part of this digital trust and needing to be in there. And of that, when we went back to survey the folks that participate, so that's academia, that's industry, that's our customers, and that's leading people in the ecosystems, 83% came back and said digital trust, the foundation. We have to have it as a cornerstone of the digital economy. And so let's dig deeper into digital trust. Digital trust has two components, digital ethics and security. And everybody in this room knows about security. It's what enables and protects the business. It's the foundation. And without it, we don't have digital trust. So let's dig deeper into the orange part, the digital ethics. Most of our companies have a strategy that aligns to one dimension, and that's typically privacy. We think of privacy and do no harm tenets like transparency, consent, sharing, anonymity. But we really need to expand that thinking of digital ethics. We need to think about how we're using the inferences and the insights that we get and how we use those from the algorithms throughout the customer journey and how they actually affect the decisions that we make. And the other thing we need is we need a way of talking about digital trust that we all understand, because one company's interpretation may be very different than another. So there has to be a common understanding of that taxonomy. And for each of our companies, we need to talk about what our stance is. How do we feel? Where are we going to land in our position on digital trust? And companies that get this right are really going to enjoy a very sticky behavior with their customers, and they're going to end up being the platforms that we all go to. And Apple's a really interesting example of this. So we've all seen a lot of stuff play out in the media in the last 6 months with the challenges in the United States about the decisions of Apple and whether or not to release information or take a product that was secure by design. And we all realized that with the iPhone 6, there were a lot of things that Apple put right back into the consumer's hands to give the consumer more control of their security. But we saw that play out in the media, and there were a lot of really interesting questions that came up. So we're thinking, okay, a company has designed something secure by design, and we're asking them to undo it. What if someone else asked them to undo something? Is that okay? And is there really something that we don't know through other methods or intelligence collection that we're going to get off of that we don't already have? So while those are all kind of fun questions to ponder, and we realize as security people, we're seeing the tip of the iceberg in the media. There was a lot of sensational stuff, but the real material discussions were happening, clearly not in the news. But the interesting thing throughout all of that was that customers expected trust. In fact, they demanded it. We saw protests, we saw all kinds of activities. And the interesting thing is, there are platforms, if we think about platform plays and the global 200, excuse me, the global 2000 and IDC, both of them were looking at the numbers. Platforms are going to be enormous. So the top 15 companies that are growing are platform companies, and their market capitalization is $2.6 trillion. So all of our businesses are probably looking at how to play into platforms, and IDC predicts that in the next 3 years, 500 new companies will start to develop platforms. So how we play with other businesses and how we share this information becomes incredibly important, especially if we have a different stance on how to use those inferences and how to use what is learned in our decision making. We're not going to be able to anticipate all of the ways that our data is going to be used, and this is why that stance is so important. And consensus is required. So how many folks feel that even entree into an ecosystem is an important part of making sure we're all at the same level. And we saw this phenomena in the security marketplace when we started to do third-party due diligence. We literally created an industry around checking our third parties for the right security posture, whether that was through attestation, whether that was through testing. We still have that industry. So this is really, if you think about digital ethics, this is another thing that probably is even more important. And I'd argue that it's more important because we don't know how that data is going to be used. We don't know where the insights that we gain are going to be used by one of our ecosystem partners. But it's so compelling because we really want to have that sharing and learning, because the companies that are able to provide that customized experience, that wonderful, we've met our customers' desires and anticipate what the next services are, those are the businesses that are going to win. So where do we begin? Well, the first thing is we have to get our companies talking about digital ethics. We have to educate our leaders on what this new space is. And the second thing is we do have to create that taxonomy, that way of talking about this with our business partners. And the third part is we absolutely need to have a stance. We need our risk boards, we need our company's leadership to actually declare where we stand on security, because that's the basis for the decisions. And we need to show how our security programs enable that digital trust as the foundation. So the companies that get this right will succeed. And the companies that don't will have customers that felt just like you did at the beginning of this presentation, a little nervous, a little concerned, and wondering what's happened with their data. Thank you.